There's dumb advice, and then there's motorcycle myth level dumb. From laying your bike down to thinking loud pipes make you invincible, riders keep falling for stuff that belongs in the trash. Today we're tearing through 20 of the worst motorcycle myths people still believe, and showing you exactly why they're total nonsense. First up, a myth old school riders still swear by, and it could literally wreck you. At number 1, lay your bike down to save your life. It sounds dramatic. You're about to hit something, so drop the bike and slide it out. Hollywood stunt move, right? Wrong. This myth comes from decades ago, when brakes were trash and protective gear meant a denim jacket. Today, you've got ABS, disc brakes, and actual stopping power. Laying down your bike means giving up control, turning into a human bowling ball, and letting gravity decide your fate. The smarter move? Stay upright, squeeze the brakes properly, and scrub off as much speed as possible. You'll have a shot at steering around danger or slowing enough to walk away. Here's a tip. If someone tells you to just lay it down, ask how many bones they've broken doing it. You stayed upright. Now let's talk about being heard. At number 2, loud pipes save lives. You've heard this one. They need to hear you coming. So riders rip their exhaust wide open like it's some force field of safety. Here's the reality. Sound travels backward. Your obnoxiously loud pipe isn't reaching the minivan 3 cars ahead jamming to Taylor Swift with the windows up. It's not making you safer. It's just annoying pedestrians and making cops look your way. Want real protection? High-vis gear, strategic lane positioning, LED lighting that grabs attention. That's what actually keeps you from getting merged into. Here's a tip. Ride like you're invisible, because to most drivers you are. If pipes aren't saving lives, maybe a long warm-up will? At number 3, warm up your bike for 10 minutes before riding. You start the bike, let it idle for 10 minutes. Maybe give it a few revs just to wake it up. Feels right, but it's wrong. Modern fuel-injected engines are designed to warm up under load, not by sitting in your driveway wasting gas. Long idling actually causes incomplete combustion and carbon buildup, especially in cold weather. You're not preserving the engine, you're just cooking the environment and your fuel bill. Here's the better way. Start the bike, wait 30-60 seconds, then ride gently. That brings your oil and engine temp up naturally and efficiently. Here's a tip. If your buddy is still idling after 5 minutes, go ride without him. He'll catch up once he figures it out. You warmed up the right way, so what about that beast of an engine? At number 4, bigger engine means faster bike. 1800cc must be a rocket, right? Not quite. Performance isn't just about engine size. It's about power-to-weight ratio, gearing, and aerodynamics. A 600cc sport bike can smoke an 1800cc cruiser all day long because it's lighter, revs higher, and is tuned to move. Big cruisers often trade top-end speed for low-end torque and comfort. So no, that highway couch with ape hangers isn't outrunning a Ninja 400 anytime soon. Here's a tip. Don't buy into displacement flex. Know what your bike is built to do and ride it for that. Before we move on, smash that subscribe button or risk being the guy who thinks chrome adds horsepower. Now let's bust a myth that's draining your wallet one tank at a time. At number 5, use premium gas for better performance. High octane equals high performance, right? That's the scam. Octane rating isn't about power, it's about knock resistance. Unless your manual says your bike requires premium, using it is like pouring bottled water into a plant that only needs tap. The bike won't run better. It won't go faster. You're just burning extra cash per gallon for literally nothing. Modern ECUs and knock sensors are smart enough to adjust if you're using regular. So unless you're on a high compression performance bike, that premium label isn't doing squat. Here's a tip. The real power boost? Keeping your air filter clean and your tires properly inflated. At number 6, you don't need gear for short rides. You're just riding to the corner store. No big deal, right? Skip the gloves. Maybe even the helmet if you're feeling wild. What could go wrong? Literally everything. Here's the stat nobody wants to admit. Most crashes happen close to home, and usually under 40 mph. That means even a quick run for milk can turn into a full-body exfoliation if you hit the deck. Road rash, busted knees, shattered wrists, none of it cares how far you were planning to ride. And helmets? Your brain doesn't magically become crash-proof just because your trip is under 10 minutes. Here's the deal. Wear the basics every time. Helmet, gloves, jacket. That 30 seconds of effort can save you from weeks in recovery, or worse. Here's a tip. Treat just a quick ride like any other ride. The pavement doesn't care what your ETA was. You're suited up now. Let's talk about that chain that's quietly begging for attention. At number 7, once you lube your chain, you're good forever. You gave your chain a quick spray last month, so you're good, right? Wrong. That lube doesn't last forever, and neither will your chain if you ignore it. Rain, dust, heat, even high-speed riding all eat away at that protective coating. Before you know it, your chain's dry, your sprockets are wearing unevenly, and you're risking a snap at speed, which is about as fun as a surprise game of Will I Crash? A neglected chain can seize up mid-ride, stretch out prematurely, or start making noises that sound like your bike's begging for help. The fix is simple. Clean and re-lube your chain every 300-600 miles, or after any wet ride. Check the tension too. It's not rocket science. It's 5 minutes that could save you from a walk of shame on the side of the highway. Here's a tip. White lube makes it easier to see coverage and spot issues. Just don't overdo it. Extra lube just flings off and makes a mess. Chains taken care of? Cool. Let's talk about slowing down, because some riders are afraid of engine braking. At number 8, engine braking damages your motorcycle. This one's baffling. Some riders treat engine braking like it's dark magic, convinced that rolling off the throttle or downshifting to slow down is somehow tearing the engine apart. Here's the truth. Engine braking is not only normal, it's useful. Your engine is designed to handle internal deceleration forces. In fact, using engine braking regularly reduces wear on your brake pads and gives you better control when entering corners or descending hills. Where people mess up, dumping the clutch like they're in MotoGP, that'll jolt the drivetrain, upset the balance, and yeah, maybe cause some damage. But smooth downshifting with throttle blips or a gentle clutch release? That's good riding. Every experienced rider engine brakes without thinking. It's part of your control toolkit. Avoiding it because of a myth just means you're putting extra strain on your brakes and missing out on smoother handling. Here's a tip. Practice matching revs while downshifting. It feels great, sounds even better, and keeps everything running smooth. Now that we've slowed down, let's deal with something that slows you down. Literally. At number 9, put both feet down at every stop. You see it all the time. New riders coming to a light and immediately dropping both feet like they're bracing for impact. It looks cautious, but it's actually sloppy. Here's the deal. Planting both feet isn't necessary and can throw off your balance. Proper technique? Keep one foot on the rear brake and the other on the ground. This keeps your bike stable, your right foot ready to manage rollbacks, and your left foot free to shift if needed. Dropping both feet might feel safer at first, but over time, it leads to bad habits. You'll start wobbling at stops, reacting slowly during takeoffs, and struggling on hills. It's not just inefficient, it makes you look like you haven't figured your bike out yet. Here's a tip. Practice the 1-foot stop in an empty lot. Once it clicks, you'll wonder why you ever did the duck walk every time traffic paused. Balance sorted? Good. Now let's fix that next level myth riders still repeat like gospel. At number 10, shift into neutral at red lights to save gas. You pull up to a red light, pop into neutral, and relax. Feels good, right? Some folks even think it saves fuel or prevents clutch wear. Spoiler alert, it really doesn't. Modern fuel-injected bikes idle efficiently whether they're in gear or not. The difference in gas usage? Basically, none. And your clutch? It's designed to handle holding in first gear at idle. Unless you're squeezing it for 20 minutes straight, it's not stressing out. What shifting into neutral actually does is delay your reaction time. If that SUV behind you doesn't stop in time, you can't just twist and move. You're stuck shifting while rolling backward. Here's the smarter move. Stay in first, clutch in, and eyes up. It keeps you alert, prepped, and mobile. Here's a tip. Only go neutral if you're at a super long stop, like a train crossing or a backed up accident scene. Otherwise, stay ready. Next up, the brake myth that's been locking up beginners for decades. At number 11, Use both brakes equally every time you stop. Sounds balanced, sounds safe, but that advice, it's dead wrong. Here's what actually happens when you brake. Weight shifts forward. That means your front tire gets loaded up with more grip, while your rear tire lightens and loses stopping power. So guess which brake does the real work? The front? Every time. Your front brake can handle 70% to 90% of your total braking force. Treating both brakes the same just isn't efficient, and relying too much on the rear can lead to longer stopping distances. Or worse, a slide if it locks up. Now, that doesn't mean ignore the rear brake. It's great for low-speed control, slow corners, and certain emergency corrections. But in any real-world braking situation, your right hand should be doing the heavy lifting. Here's a tip. Practice braking drills in a parking lot. Learn to feel the bite point of the front brake without panicking. That muscle memory can save your skin when something jumps into the road. Still treating brakes like a 50-50 split? Might be time to upgrade that mindset before your stopping distance becomes your crash distance. Now let's get into a myth that'll have you sliding for all the wrong reasons. At number 12, scrub in new tires by riding aggressively. Fresh rubber, brand new grip. Time to go full lean, right? Wrong, and dangerously so. New motorcycle tires come coated with a mold release compound used during manufacturing. It's slick, it's slippery, and it's not something you want between you and the pavement on your first hard corner. Think of it as a thin, waxy layer that needs to be worn off gradually, not burned off in one adrenaline-filled ride. Aggressively leaning on brand new tires is asking for a slide out, especially if you're not fully aware of your bike's limits or surface conditions. Here's what you should do instead. Take the first 100 miles easy. No aggressive braking, no hard acceleration, no deep leans. Let the tires warm up, flex, and wear in evenly across the surface. This helps the compound activate and gives you a better idea of their grip range. Here's a tip. Practice gentle cornering in different conditions as the tires break in. That way, when it's time to push, you know exactly how they behave. Skip the hero moves, because one hard lean too early and you're not scrubbing tires. You're scrubbing road rash. Still using that 3,000-mile oil change rule? Let's kill that next. At number 13, change your oil every 3,000 miles. If your bike is from the 80s and running dinosaur juice, sure, but most modern motorcycles laugh at the 3,000-mile rule. This myth is left over from older engines and outdated mineral oils. Today's synthetic oils offer vastly improved heat resistance, cleanliness, and protection. Most bikes, especially those running synthetic, can go 5,000 to 8,000 miles between oil changes without issue. Some even longer. What actually matters? Your riding style, climate, and your specific bike. Commute and stop-and-go traffic? You'll need changes more often. Highway tourer with long miles and a clean air filter? You're probably stretching those intervals further. Riders who still cling to 3,000 miles are wasting time, money, and good oil. Over-maintenance isn't noble, it's just inefficient. And the environment isn't thanking you for dumping still good oil down the drain. Here's a tip. Read your owner's manual and track how your oil looks and smells. Black doesn't always mean bad. Look for cloudiness, metal flakes, or fuel smell. Those are the red flags. Changing oil too early won't destroy your engine, but it will kill your wallet over time. Speaking of killing things, let's move to the helmet myth that just won't die. At number 14, full-face helmets reduce visibility. Some riders avoid full-face lids because they think it blocks their view, like they're riding with horse blinders on. Reality check. DOT and ECE certified full-face helmets must meet strict peripheral vision standards. That means if it's street legal, you've got at least 210 degrees of horizontal vision. Basically, everything your eyes can physically see without turning your head. What you do gain with a full face: impact protection, facial coverage, wind noise reduction, and better focus at higher speeds. That extra shell saves your jaw, chin, and nose in a crash, which, spoiler alert, are usually the first things to hit the ground in a faceplant. A good full-face helmet fits snugly, doesn't fog up if ventilated right, and keeps your eyeballs from drying out at 70 mph. Visibility? Not even an issue once you've adjusted to the fit. Here's a tip. Try on several brands before settling. Shell shape and visor size can vary, and the right one should feel like part of your head, not a fishbowl. Less wind blast, fewer bugs to the face, and actual crash protection? Yeah, full face wins. Now let's shred a myth that literally screws with your handling. At number 15, you can run car tires on a motorcycle. Oh yes, the dark side crowd. They'll tell you it's cheaper. They'll say the mileage is better. But mounting a car tire on a motorcycle is like putting a square peg in a round hole, except the peg can throw you into traffic. Here's the problem. Car tires are flat. Motorcycle tires are curved. That curve isn't for looks. It's what allows you to lean into corners and maintain contact with the road at different angles. Stick a car tire on back, and you've got a squared-off contact patch that behaves fine upright, but turns into a horror show the moment you lean. Handling becomes unpredictable. Cornering grip disappears. And if you need to swerve in an emergency, good luck, cowboy. Even worse, most shops won't touch your bike once you've gone dark side. Insurance might not cover you either. Here's a tip. If budget's the issue, go for sport touring or commuter tires. They last longer, cost less, and are actually designed for your bike. Your contact patch is the only thing keeping you off the pavement. Don't mess with it. At number 16, lane splitting is always dangerous. Say lane splitting and watch everyone's opinions explode like fireworks. Some call it reckless. Others say it's life-saving. So what's the truth? Here's the reality. When done legally and correctly, lane splitting reduces risk, especially from rear-end collisions in stop-and-go traffic. Think about it. Would you rather be sandwiched between a texting SUV and a distracted truck, or gently slipping between rows at low speed? The danger doesn't come from lane splitting itself. It comes from doing it wrong. Flying between lanes at high speed? Dangerous. Squeezing through in tight spaces with zero visibility? Stupid. But controlled, predictable movement between cars in slow or stopped traffic? That's actually safer in many urban scenarios. Some studies, like the ones out of California, back this up. When done at reasonable speed differences, no more than 10 to 15 km/h, it lowers crash severity. Here's a tip. If your state allows it, learn the proper etiquette. Stay visible. Don't split at high speed. Use judgment. Lane splitting isn't an excuse to be a jerk, but when used smartly, it can be the tool that keeps your tail light intact. And now for the myth that sends people tire shopping for all the wrong reasons. At number 17, race tires give better street performance. You want the best grip, right? So slap on some track spec rubber and you're golden? Not even close. Race tires are built for one thing: maximum grip at extreme temperatures. On the street, they never reach that ideal range, meaning they can actually be worse than regular tires when it comes to traction, especially in cold weather or rain, or anywhere that isn't a racetrack. Street tires are designed to warm up quickly, handle a variety of conditions, and wear evenly over time. They also have proper tread for water dispersion, something race slicks couldn't care less about. The other issue? Race tires wear out faster when not used properly. You'll pay a premium, get fewer miles, and maybe even crash before you realize you've been riding on cold, greasy rubber. Here's a tip. Unless you're racing competitively, stick with high-quality sport or sport touring tires. They offer all the grip you need, without the need for tire warmers and a pit crew. Trying to flex with race slicks on the highway isn't badass. It's just expensive, slippery cosplay. Let's talk ABS next, because some folks still think it's training wheels. At number 18, ABS is only for beginners. Let's kill this one quick. ABS isn't for newbies. It's for everybody who wants to keep their skin attached. Anti-lock braking systems prevent your wheels from locking up under hard braking. That's it. Whether you're a rookie or a racer, in rain or gravel, panic stops happen, and ABS buys you those crucial milliseconds of traction and control. The myth comes from ego. Some riders think ABS means they're not skilled enough to manage braking. But here's the thing. In real-world chaos, bad pavement, oil slicks, surprise car doors, even pros mess up. ABS is that backup system that stops your bike from turning into a hockey puck. And no, it doesn't ruin feel or slow you down. Modern ABS is fast, refined, and barely noticeable until it saves you. Here's a tip. If your bike has it, learn how it reacts. seatbelts. Practice emergency stops in a safe area. Get familiar. You'll never want to go back. Thinking ABS makes you soft is like thinking seatbelts are for cowards. Now for a myth that's not just wrong, it's dangerous disinformation. At number 19, helmets increase spinal injuries. You've probably heard this garbage floating around, that helmets somehow increase the risk of neck or spine injuries in a crash. Let's clear this up. Helmets reduce serious injuries, period. The data's not even close. Study after study shows that helmeted riders have dramatically lower rates of traumatic brain injury, facial fractures, and yes, spinal trauma too. The myth likely came from outdated crash reports misinterpreted by people who didn't understand how forces distribute in real-world collisions. A modern helmet absorbs and dissipates energy, protecting not just your skull, but also reducing the whiplash and torque that damage your spine. What does mess up your spine? Hitting the pavement face first without protection. Here's a tip. Make sure your helmet fits snugly and is properly secured. A loose, floppy lid can increase injury risk, but that's user error, not helmet design. Skip the fake science. Helmets save lives. Wear one. Let's finish with a myth that puts all the blame in the wrong place. At number 20, motorcycle accidents are usually the rider's fault. People love blaming riders. Speeding, reckless. They came out of nowhere. Sound familiar? Here's the reality. Over 60% of multi-vehicle motorcycle crashes are caused by the other driver, usually cars turning left in front of riders or merging into their lane without looking. Motorcycles are smaller, less visible, and often not on a driver's mental checklist. Yes, some riders do stupid things, but so do car drivers, except they've got a steel cage and airbags. We don't. The bigger problem? Lack of awareness. Most drivers have never been on a bike, don't look for them, and don't understand how quickly they move or stop. That's why "I didn't see them" shows up in accident reports so often. Here's a tip. Ride defensively, but don't absorb the guilt. Use visibility tricks, stay out of blind spots, and assume no one sees you. But know that being in the right doesn't always protect you. Blaming riders by default is lazy and wrong. If this saved you from even one bad decision, hit like and subscribe. Next up, we're exposing the worst motorcycle upgrades people waste money on. Don't miss it.